Welcome back to Burn Peak. I'm Seth, and today we're doing something a little different, but kind of the same. We're here at the Riveter in Mills River, North Carolina, and I'm taking my last ride on my dirt jumper as we know it, because I'm gonna take it all apart, we're gonna put some new parts on it, and we're gonna give it a new paint job. Diamondback doesn't make it anymore. This thing's probably close to a decade old, and it still holds up. Looks good. The geometry is totally in line with a modern dirt jumper. The only thing outdated about it is the paint scheme. I don't have the tools and know-how and equipment to powder coat a bike, and so we're gonna have to take off all the parts, bring it to somebody who specializes in powder coating, and hope they didn't paint over threads and bearing cups and things like that. So it's time I get this dirt jumper back to Burn Peak so we can take off all the parts and bring it out to get powder coated. Since I know everybody's gonna ask about the chain, why is it so rusty? It's not rusty at all. It's actually just clay from the Riveter. Powder coat gets baked on. It's extremely durable. But that durability becomes a problem when you paint areas that you shouldn't. For instance, you wouldn't want to paint the threads of your bottom bracket shell. A professional powder coater is not necessarily an expert on bikes, so it's up to me to discuss the job with them in detail beforehand. I've never had anything powder coated, but Kevin has. And when he got his bike back, he couldn't get any of the bearings back in. It was a disaster. So I'm gonna just go in there and make sure they know what they're talking about. This place has really good reviews, so let's just hope. Powder coating a bike can range from $200 to the moon, depending on the complexity of the job. But it'll usually include removal of the old paint with sandblasting. On this beefy alloy frame, that shouldn't be a problem. I had them tape off the bottom bracket shell, the head tube, and the seat tube, so no paint would get on surfaces where bearings or parts need to fit snugly. I also had them tape off the rear dropouts, since they feature small grooves for factory chain tensioners. And overall, they seem to follow my instructions.
Whoa.
There we go. Yeah, it's a black frame with no decals on it. It's not as flat as I kind of wanted it to be, but they told me that the flatter you go, the more any type of mark is just gonna show up on it. Powder coating is thick. It's like a really hard shell. This part right here, this little chain tensioner slides in there, and if there's even the slightest bit of thickness in there, it's not gonna slide in because these were really tight in the first place. With some touch-up paint, I personally filled in the rear dropouts to ensure paint wouldn't get into any of the grooves. Were I to do this job again, I'd probably just have them paint it and then grind it away with a Dremel after the fact, since the area is so small. But overall, this flat black paint job is amazing. And now we're ready to build this bike back up. We'll start with the decals. Originally, I wanted gloss black labels over a flat black frame, which looks stealthy and is popular right now. But we couldn't pull it off. It's almost like the label is too flat and the frame is too glossy. So I decided to put color labels on the top of the frame so the bike would still look stealthy from the side. Next up, the labels on the suspension fork. I'm peeling these orange labels off the lowers so we can replace them with stealthier ones. In this case, we're using a decal kit available from Fox Suspension. Once you've stuck this on dead center, you just peel off the backing and just wrap it around the fork. Look at that. Kits like these are a really affordable way to personalize your bike without making it look tacky. Now to get the rest of the bike built up. I'm taking my rotors off because they're going on a new set of wheels. This is the Dirt Jump 305 wheel set from Industry 9. And it's probably the most beautiful bike part I've ever installed, period. Every component down to individual spokes is manufactured under the same roof in Asheville. The hubs are legendary, and of course, they have that signature cassette note. It sounds better on the bike. This is a special bike, and now it's got some really special custom wheels on it, built by people who live and work in my own town. But I'm not just installing these wheels like the old ones. Now, the way Eric had this bike, the wheel was pretty much all the way out here. I want to push it all the way in here and shorten the chain up. On most single speed bikes, you can actually adjust the wheelbase slightly by moving the rear wheel inside the dropout. I'm very short, and so I want to bring the wheelbase in slightly to make it easier to pull up. To do that, I need to shorten the chain by a very small amount. To do this, we can use a half link. A half link replaces a normal link in your bike chain and is exactly 1/2 the length. This can be installed on any chain as long as you get the right size. You can also use a very adjustable half link chain, which is composed entirely of half links. These are heavy and provide no benefit whatsoever except for looking sick. So we're gonna try it out. So at least on this dirt jumper wheel, this is the way the Hydra hub sounds. Instant engagement. With the bike built and functioning nicely, there's only one thing left to do. Stare at it. I think with a shorter wheelbase, I'm having an easier time pumping, and I'm able to get through the jumps better and generate more speed than usual. So if you're used to riding jumps and stuff, most of what you see in a skate park is gonna pretty much come naturally. But the only thing that really throws people for a loop is the spine. A spine is 2 quarter pipes butted up against each other. So I wanna just demonstrate the right way to ride a spine. So the easiest way to explain spines and how to ride them is you wanna transfer. So take off somewhere over here, and then you wanna land maybe a few feet over here. By transferring, you're taking a jump and you're stretching it out because you're moving over. So that lets you set up. And when you're transferring, you're gonna wanna steer down into it. So the next thing I have an opportunity to demonstrate here at the skate park is dropping in on a quarter pipe. Sometimes it's a mini ramp, sometimes it's a half pipe, and in this case, it's in a bowl. First of all, when you're dropping into a quarter pipe, the last thing you wanna do is go in straight. All your weight is gonna be pointing down over the front of the bike, and you're gonna have a terrible, terrible time. You wanna come in parallel to the quarter pipe. You wanna come in sideways and turn in so that you can ease into the transition. The easiest way to learn is to start on a smaller quarter pipe and then work your way up. I've said before that fixing up old bikes gets me more excited than putting together a new one, and in this case, it's kind of the best of both worlds because this looks and feels like a brand new bike in every way. The geometry of these bikes has not changed very much. This is an alloy frame, it's gonna last forever, and now it's one of a kind. I hope you enjoyed overhauling my dirt jumper with me. That weekend, I tried to ride the wheels off of that dirt jumper, but unfortunately, the second I hopped back on my trail bike, I had this injury. For now, we have new Berm Peak shirts, just a normal Berm Peak logo shirt in a few different colors. And we've got hoodies. These are a little heavier. This is probably gonna get me through the entire winter here in North Carolina. So check out the link below for new merch, and I hope you enjoyed the build. Thanks for riding with me today. I'll see you next time.